Yeah, you know the motto. If you can, go over there, hit me with a like, which is a thumbs up, and that'll let me know I'm sending my stuff. Right here, I got a G homeboy from Oak Park Blood, and he finna set the tone and kind of lace us a little bit about his era. Go ahead, big homie. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm OG T-Dog, Mo Park, 4th Avenue, Neighborhood Park, and HP. How
Okay.
y'all doing out there? Mm-hmm.
Okay, OG, I want to know, homie, when you formulated, homie, what kind of year was it when you formulated the blood thing out there, started banging?
Well, we first of all, we had like our own little gangs, previous to that. You know what I mean? We had a like a big gang. We had a big gang with the older homies called Funk Lords, and then we had a younger gang called Touch Hogs. You know what I mean?
And what year was all that?
That was in the late 70s and early 80s. You know what I mean? But we came about in like 81, 82.
So what were some of the homies that helped y'all, like, you know what I'm saying, push the tradition?
Well, we kind of like, we was connected with, we had a family out here called the Murphys that was connected with the promoter 45 Bigs, you feel me?
Right.
So, you know what I mean, we really started, you know what I mean, affiliated with that. So that's when we really, start seeing blood out here, you know what I mean, on the blood gang tip. You know what I mean? So,
and what's some of them homies from the 4-5 bigs that help y'all formulate the push? Can you name like two homies maybe?
It was really just one homie because his whole family was out here. So we really had the homie Nigel Collins, you know what I mean, OG Nigel. You know what I mean? He been all around, he known and shit like that, real reputable homie, solid,
So when y'all finally formulated and took off in the 80s, homie, was the homies deep out there? Was it a small pocket, or how did that go?
No, we got a big neighborhood. We really in the middle of the city, so we like touch all sides of the whole city. You know what I mean? We touch east, west. You know what I mean? And we touch the south, one half of the hood. So we in the middle. So we touch all around this motherfucker. So we always been the deepest. We always been the neighborhood. We always set the trends, or anything we do first, seem like everybody follows. So like when the younger homies started clicking up all these little cliques, you know how they got these cliques now?
Right.
Everybody started clicking up because you got these youngsters running around here with cliques, and then everybody else ain't organized, so they start organizing their little cliques to fight back against my little homies, with the clique thing, you know what I mean?
Right. So when you was starting in the 80s and the homies was doing their thing, was it Rips out there that the homies had started funking with, or how did that go?
We always funked with the cats that claim to on the blue team. We always, before even, we always funk with the South Side or me, just the South Side. I don't know nothing about the other sides, but the South Side was mainly our rivals previous to that, you know what I mean?
And that was in the 80s, right?
And that was in the 80s and the 70s, late 70s.
Yeah. So that was considered like the top enemies at that time.
Yeah, it was the South Side, but it's like, I can't explain it. It's like when this shit hit, it's like it just all at once. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, like, everything just started at one time. You know what I mean?
And was it squabbling? Did it go into pistol play? Like, how was the dynamic on that thing, homie?
Oh, it was just straight squabbling. It was squabbling at first. It was always squabbling. You had a few dudes, carry pistols and pop somebody, but it was mainly squabbling.
Right. And how was your crew? Because I know every hoods have crews, homie. Was you part of a 5-man, 10-man crew or something like that in them eras?
I think we were deeper than that, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm talking about like heavy hitter dudes. So you saying y'all crew was a little deeper than that with heavy hitter homies?
It's like 20, 30, 40, 50 heavy hitters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So y'all was kind of moving then.
Right. So when we went out to a club, it was maybe 20, 30 of us at a time. You know what I mean? Folks won't smoke with whoever, you know what I mean? They see that somebody from the other side, they want to smoke, you know what I mean?
Right.
We always pretty much was pushing smoke, you know what I mean?
So by y'all being like homies, in that area, how did y'all feel, Bloods down this way felt upon y'all up there pushing the B thing, homie? Did y'all ever feel kind of funny with it, or, felt like the homies really wasn't giving y'all all the props, or how did that go, homie?
Okay, now I never experienced that until I went to jail. You know what I mean? So, we was always with it from day one. It wasn't no issue. You know what I mean? But when you go to jail, you know, like the homies from the South, South, they always, you know, mainly the Rips, like when the Rips from different cities, Sacramento, Stockton, or wherever they was from up here, the Rips had more problems being accepted than the Bloods did. And I
Right.
think reason why the Bloods was more accepted because the Bloods was shorter. You know what I mean? And we had to unify. We had to be close together. We was like brothers, you know what I mean? Because you had all the blue team, them niggas was deep, and them niggas want to smoke, and they wasn't really too kind to, guys wearing the red, you know what I mean?
So did y'all have other homies that y'all wind up allying up with on the streets out there to keep pushing, or?
No, when we started claiming this shit, it is what it is. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
it wasn't no other
We was
blood hoods that came around y'all pushing it.
yeah. Sacramento's mainly a blood city. You know
City,
what I mean? So
right.
we got Bloods on the north side. We got Pyrus on the east side. You know what I mean? We got the projects. You know what I mean? It's all over. You know what I mean? Every part of the town is some Bloods out there. You know what I mean? So we really, some hoods started from us. You know what I mean? And some hoods just started from meeting other homies from other LA Bloods. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And what was y'all bond with LA Bloods, homie? Did homies ever come visit y'all? Did y'all ever come down to visit homies?
Yeah, the promoters used to be out here because they have family out here. So yeah, they used to be out here. And then we had homies from Bounty Hunters out here. We had homies from BNG out here. We had a lot of different homies out here. You know what I mean? Homies
Right.
from Boston. You know what I mean? All that.
So what generation would you say you are, homie?
I'm first generation. I'm one of the first cats to put on that flag. You feel
Yeah,
me? The red one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, you first generation B-Dog then.
Yeah, for sure that. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so when we banging and we in the streets in the field, I know we wind up, some of us be able to escape it, some of us, can't miss it and wind up falling to them jailhouses, homie. So when you first hit the jailhouses at a youth, how was it pushing this B thing, homie? Meeting other Damus and shit like that.
Well, I didn't. Okay, like when I started up north, YA 88, then
So you didn't hit, not to cut you off, you didn't hit no juvenile institution. You went straight to YA or something?
no, I didn't do no juvenile. I went straight to the top. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I went straight. 187 in my younger days in '87, and then I went straight to YA, and then I started off in D. Wilt Nelson. And then, we was all accepted. We was all good, you know what I mean? It wasn't nothing to get no squabbling with nothing because we was squabbling on the street. So it carried over. It wasn't nothing, cats want to smoke. We face up, you know what I mean? So, but, I didn't experience like the not accepting stuff until I got down south, you know what I mean? Until I got to YTS, you know what I mean?
And what you mean by that? Can you collaborate on that a little bit? The non-accepting, like who was that from? The Rips, the homies, or who?
Well, me personally, I didn't experience it all, bro. Cause I ain't bragging on myself. I'm just saying I've always been with the shit. You know what I mean? Whatever, that's just been in me from day one. Whatever I decided to represent, I represented to the fullest. So I never had no accepting problems. So if whoever wanted to fight, we fight. You know what I mean? Big, small, little, tall, win, lose, or draw. You know what I
But
mean?
was it
So
love? But did the B-Dog homies from you being, not from the land that up this way, did the homies like try to feel like they had to test you or question your character? You know, how was that, homie? Because I know a lot of homies from different places. They had their ups and downs with how they established themselves with L.A. Blood, homies. You know.
No, I didn't have that because I probably had more fights than LA Blood, some LA Bloods. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
You know what I mean? It was busters everywhere. So
right,
some niggas wasn't even with the shit that was born into this shit. So you know what I mean? So I didn't have no problem. I just carried myself how I was supposed to carry myself. I didn't put no extra on it or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I was schooled on what to fight and how to fight and when to fight and what I was supposed to fight over. You know what I mean? What
right,
was
right,
disrespect and all that. So anytime disrespect was faced, towards me, I handled it. You know what I mean?
right. So,
Yeah.
so at that time, since you were first generation blood, I know at that time in them '80s, I know the Rips was at at an all time high. How was the B Dog Alliance in that jailhouse at that time, homie?
In the 80s, because I stayed until 94, so in the 80s, it was strong, very strong. You know what I mean? We all was unified, we all was one, and then it seemed like in the early 90s, that's when, Cass was like, we ain't Bloods, we Pyrus, and all that, and until they were shorthanded, and then now we all, one thing. But when it started set tripping with the Bloods and Pyrus, and like in the early 90s, that's when Cass was saying they was Pyrus and wasn't Bloods or whatever, whatever that, title was up under that. So that's when I started noticing the unity was breaking up and stuff like that. And I don't know what was going on the street, but in the 90s, that's when I, felt like, the unity was leaving. You know what I mean? Things was changing. You
So
know,
so so that's from when the '90s hit. That's when you kind of seen the change, the shift a little bit.
right. That's when I seen like, Bloods funking with Bloods, and we really didn't do that. It was more Rips that was their thing. You know what I mean? We wasn't really. We was together because we had to be together for strength and protection. You know what I mean?
So
We
at
had
the
to be
right,
in the
so
80s. Yeah,
in the '80s.
right. But in the 90s, it seemed like, it was like a little bit more, separated,
So how was the Rips at in the '80s? Was they like set tripping against homies, or how was the banging dynamics, homie? Was they trying to match the homies energy, or was the homies matching them dudes energy? How was the flow?
Well, pretty much all the homies I was around and why it was down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
was they was with it. They took all fades, you know what I mean? And but like, it was only like certain, rip sets that was against the Bloods, and some didn't even really trip on Bloods because they enemies was other Crips, you know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right. They hands was
like,
full already.
yeah, so some of them, we didn't like A-Trays, like we would seem like it wasn't no homies that really had beef with them, you know what I mean? Even though they was Crips, they focus was other Crips, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
And what about Hoovers?
Well, Hoovers, only certain Hoovers was tripping on Bloods, and only certain Hoover sets was tripping on Crips. So like
Right.
maybe the 107s was, had funk with the, Denver Lanes and stuff like that. But most of the Hoovers, they didn't have no funk with Bloods, you know what I mean, at all. But like East Coast, they got the Mass Swans, them cats is down Bloods all day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Can you name
and
5 B dogs that jailed at your time, homie, from different B dog hoods?
say that again.
Can you name 5 B dogs that been jail with you from different B dog hoods that was down in them times that you associated with?
Yeah, I had a lot of these guys don't even, they rest in peace. But we had like YB from Skyline Pyru. We had Hollywood from Lincoln Park. We had uh, Bam from Bounty Hunters. We had it's a lot of them. We had Tebow from Fruittown Pyru. We had, it was just a lot of homies. We had Smokey, Big Smokey from Six Deuce Brim was a solid homie. You know what I mean? We had a lot of homies that was solid. Yeah.
Right, right. Any neighborhood rules from my era neighborhood was up there with you?
We had neighborhood. We had, I don't know if he was little or big underdog. He rest in peace.
Yeah, that was big underdog.
Okay, yeah, the little tiny one, all the tats. Yeah, that was the homie. I used to love Underdog. That
Yeah,
was my
yeah,
nigga
yeah.
though.
I'm named
Yeah.
up on the dude too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
homie. Yeah, that was my homie. But I only got the, he only stayed in there for a little while and then he left. I guess he was like on a violation or something.
Right, right. So
And
did you ever get it? So you was able to chop it up and hang out with him for a brief moment?
yeah, I was able to be there with him for a brief moment.
Cause a
Exactly.
lot of my homeboys from the turf, homie, you know, they hear Underdog name. A lot of Crips and a lot of blood speak on Underdog, but nobody, you know, a lot of dudes never heard nobody else speak on Underdog. So man, I appreciate that. So he was banged out. He had a banged out style, huh?
Yeah, he was straight. That he was blood. B Dog was with the shit. B Dog was a little blood homie. He was solid. Yeah, I liked the B Dog all day.
That's right.
1,000. Yeah.
That's right, homie. So from YA, homie, did you ever wind up hitting the penitentiaries?
Yeah, I hit the penitentiary later. I hit the penitentiary. Let me see. I hit the penitentiary. Let me see what year it's I hit the penitentiary in 98. 98. Yeah.
And how was the function up there with the homies in '98?
Oh,
Was it different than YA and shit, Youth Authority?
it was different. Everybody hang with they self. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So, like, pretty much like in prison, it seemed like the LA Bloods hang with the LA Bloods, and the up north Bloods hung with they self. But we was all, when something went down, we was all, pretty much, unified. You know what I mean? But it was it was a separate thing. You know what I mean? It seemed like they wasn't accepting of each other to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what was up with that shit.
You saying the LA car Bloods or
Yeah, it
just the
was like the
Bloods?
LA car, LA Blood car.
Yeah, yeah.
Up north blood car, and so even the up north rips, they formed their own thing called NC. So you know what I mean, everybody formed their own groups, you know what I mean, even though they was up under the whatever gang they was up under, you know what I
Right,
mean, they
right.
had their own shit.
So by you being first generation blood out there, homie, that I know that took y'all to like the totem pole of the B-Dog thing out there, huh?
Yeah, my hood seemed like my hood was the leaders of the Northern Bloods, like to me, you know what I mean? Because it seemed like we was just the first, and we was always the deepest, but that didn't really matter. It just felt like that. I guess we was, it felt like we was real B-Dogs, and everybody else was a little slower on this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
So I know, gangs out here, we be funking, some of our hoods have funk with Hispanic gangs, homie. Did it ever get like that out there, homie? Or how is it with the Hispanics out there amongst the black gangs?
Well, up north, it's like, everything is against white. So our Hispanic gangs until now or whenever started funking with each other. More back then, it was a lot of Northerners that was in black gangs too. You know what I mean? So, we was all cool with each other up north. Blacks function with the Northerners and stuff like that. But I never understood, why. Like the Southern car, I never understood because we was, it was the white man was a beef. They all oppressed us. I never understood why Southern Mexicans would ally themselves with whites when whites shit mean fuck everything that, if you ain't
Yeah,
white,
yeah,
fuck you,
yeah.
period. So I never understood that at all. So I don't know why that's like that.
Right. And YA, homie, did you ever have a chunk or two with any rips?
YA, yeah, I had some with up north. I never really had no beef with no southern rips because we was deep enough to handle that, but I never had no problem with no southern rips. You know what I mean? I never had no fights with none of them.
Right,
No,
right.
yeah, because I
You
did my time up north, and I only had really a few fights. Cats from Insane and a couple other places, but that was it. You know what I mean?
right, right. Can you
Yeah.
recall some down Crips that was down that the homies kind of like knew and respected?
Yeah, I don't know if it was like respect. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I
like
don't,
new
cause
mutual where head nods or them dudes was soldiers.
we had certain cats. If they wasn't just too banged out-ish and, just super cripped out, we had cats that was more, they was crips. They was down. They wasn't, with all that foolery, you know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right,
you know, they was what they was. They wasn't pushing it on nobody. You know, we had
right,
cats like PD Wack from neighborhood 60s, you know
right,
what I mean? He was solid, you know what I mean? He was a solid dude. Dudes liked it, that dude, no matter, you know, where he was from. He was a cool dude, you know what I
right.
mean? You know, but everybody knew he was 60. He didn't have to act like, you know, he
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
all
yeah.
like that, you know what I mean? So, you know, the cats that wasn't all like that, they
Right,
were supered out.
right,
They had respect from the Bloods 1000, you
right.
know what I mean?
But you
Yeah.
did have some super extra out Crips at them times in YA.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, we had some super, you know, I mean, it was some supers from, you know,
yeah.
Harlem 30s. Seemed like a lot of supers from the East Coast. East Coast was deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, but other than that, you know what I mean, it was all right, man.
That's right, dog. Hey, homie, anybody you want to shout out from your turf, homie, that helped bring value to your turf, homie? Because I know you wasn't alone in the fold, homie. Do you want to shout out some homeboys or anything?
Yeah, I shout out to my relative, you know, solid homie Stefan, you know what I mean? You know, just I really just hung my homeboy Pee Wee, my homeboy Mario, you know what I mean? My solid homies, yeah.
So
1000.
so what about any, because I know some of the young GG homeboys, they be want to be, implemented, and be recognized for they little roles that they playing. Any young G's, homie, that you want to shout out a young G that kind of like carried the torch, know how to conduct itself. You want to shout anybody out like that?
Uh
Because I know you
Not
probably
really.
we not in the field like that, but we probably can recognize somebody that got talents in them streets that
Oh
got a cool
yeah, and
head.
shout out to the homie Dulo from 30 Pyru, the homie from one of the original homies from 40 Pyru. You know what I mean? I met it in Corcoran. You know what I mean? Shout out to the homie Bad Habit from West Side Pyru. My homie Red from Fruittown. You know what I mean? Shout out to all them. Shout
That's
out to the homies, all the Inglewood families was solid. Shout out to the Inglewood families, Big Dip. You know what I mean? My roommate. Shout out to Baby Jack from Hoover, that was solid. You know what I mean? All them, you know what I mean? We was solid. They was all solid dudes, man. Straight up. You know what I mean?
that's right,
Yeah.
homie. If anything, before we close it out, OGT dog, would
No,
you
I just,
anything you want to say to the youngsters or something? Anything else?
yeah, I want the youngsters to, you know what I mean, stop all this stuff I see going on, man. Y'all supposed to be unified under the gang thing. If that's just talking about that, get your money, build your family, own you some property, you know what I mean? And stop all this foolery out here, man. You know what I mean? All the B dogs, you know what I mean? Y'all, let's unify. Y'all, all that beefing, that ain't how we do it, man. That ain't how we supposed to be living our life out here. So, you know, it's supposed to be some big homies that intervene. It seems like it ain't no intervention from the big homies. Say, hey, what y'all doing? You know what I mean? Why y'all doing that? Won't stop. So who got beef? Y'all need to square up and let it be that. All that gunplay and killing, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be unified, period. Straight up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we gonna bring it back, homie. 89 on up. We gonna bring it back, homie. We gonna keep sending G stuff and not Ye stuff, and hopefully some of the young homeboys can pick up on this, man, and know how to handle tradition with care, homie. I appreciate you, coming on, homie. It ain't nothing but blood love, OGT dog.
Oh, I appreciate it, B. You know what I mean? I'm kind of nervous, but I appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? Y'all stay up out there for sure.
All the time, one love, homie.
One love all day.